Dad moves in his baby bride with two kids, and she sits me down and tells me it's time for me to move out. I'm 23, and I've been living in my grandparents' house just outside the city for most of my life. My mom passed away from cancer when I was just 11, and since my dad often worked out of town, I stayed with my grandparents. They were awesome, and they really stepped up when I needed them. We were pretty tight, and even after they passed away a few years back, I stayed in the house. My mom was an only child like me, so when my grandparents died, I inherited everything: the house, some money, and my grandpa's truck. Fast forward to now, my dad has been dating this younger woman named Alicia. She's pretty cool in general and has two kids from a previous relationship, aged 6 and 8. They're energetic and all over the place, but they're good kids. About 6 months ago, after a lot of discussions, my dad asked if they could move into the house with me. It's a big place with plenty of room, so I agreed. I figured it could be nice, a bit of a fuller house. Everything was relatively smooth until Alicia got pregnant. Then things started to change. My dad proposed, which was no surprise. They seem really in love. But suddenly, Alicia started dropping hints and then directly telling me that I should start thinking about moving out because they would need my room for the new baby. She also mentioned wanting her mom to move in to help with the upcoming baby and her kids. Now here's the kicker. Alicia didn't know that the house actually belongs to me. My dad hadn't mentioned it to her, and it seemed like he was avoiding the subject. It all blew up when Alicia suggested I move into her apartment in the city. She said she'd give me a good deal on rent while I finished my education. The situation got even more heated one weekend when my dad was home. Alicia was talking about nursery colors and then directly said I should start packing. That's when I had enough and told her the house was mine, handed down from my grandparents, and I wasn't going anywhere. You should have seen her face. It was a mix of shock and disbelief. I suggested that maybe my dad could use some of his savings to buy a new place for their expanding family. After all, he had a decent amount set aside, and they could sell her apartment to help with the down payment. Alicia got really upset at this suggestion. She accused me of trying to push them out and ruin her plans of building equity in the apartment she owned. Things got even messier. My dad tried to mediate but ended up making things worse by suggesting maybe it was time for me to be independent. I couldn't believe it. Him siding with her over his own daughter? This led to a huge argument where I reminded him of everything our family had been through and how much the house meant to me as a connection to our past. Alicia now sees me as the villain, trying to disrupt their family plans. She's been cold and distant since, and her kids, who used to hang out with me, are now kept away. My dad is caught in the middle, trying to keep everyone happy, but it's just not working. This whole ordeal has left me stressed and a bit isolated in my own home. It's weird to feel like an outsider where you grew up. I'm trying to figure out how to handle this without causing a permanent rift, but it's tough. I feel like I'm standing on a crumbling bridge trying to hold it together. Thanks for listening, and if anyone has been in a similar situation or has any advice, it would be great to hear it. This is way more drama than I ever wanted. Am I the idiot? Now for the top comments before the update. Well, too bad. Don't get with a woman so much younger than you. If you're not ready to pick up the tab for your future children and such because you want to save for your retirement. Overall, it seems like his new baby's mama thought he was older and wealthy so she could get more out of him. But this whole thing fell flat when she noticed that he didn't own the house and the gall to kick you out, but then offer her old living arrangements at a discount. Nope, you are not the idiot Opie. Oh boy, it looks like your dad has picked a real sweetheart. Even not knowing the house was yours, trying to get you to move out to make way for her baby, presumably without talking to your dad first, is an idiot. Move for sure. So I was wanting him to buy a house but not be willing to sell her place to contribute. And if he doesn't have the nerve to stand up to her as he does it, it sounds like he's in for a treat. None of that is your problem, of course. Your dad is an adult responsible for his own decisions. You didn't kick them out to the streets with no options. Look at it this way. She wanted a place without you in it, and now she can have one. Problem solved. They can make some sacrifices and have a comfortable living situation. Your stepmother and your father are trying to push you out of your own house where you've allowed them and the children to live rent-free. Talk to an attorney immediately. Getting rid of them legally may be much harder than you realize. In many jurisdictions, a visitor can become a legal tenant regardless of whether they pay you any rent in a month or even less. Update 1. Hey everyone, I never expected things to escalate to this point, but here I am with another shocking update. After the tense showdown about the house, I thought things might settle down, but they've only gotten more intense. Shortly after the argument where I revealed that the house belonged to me, Alicia and my dad had a massive blowout fight. Apparently, Alicia was furious that my dad had never told her the truth about the house. She felt blindsided and betrayed, believing that my dad had kept this from her intentionally. Their relationship hit a rough patch and tensions were running high in the house. Alicia's frustration boiled over one evening when she cornered me in the kitchen. She started yelling about how unfair it was that she and her kids had to live in someone else's house, and how my dad had led her to believe they were building a life together in a home that was supposed to be theirs. I stood my ground, reminding her that it was my grandparents' house, and I wasn't going to be forced out. The next day, my dad confronted me. He was visibly stressed and tired, caught between his new family and his daughter. He begged me to reconsider moving out, saying it would make things easier for everyone. I was shocked and hurt, feeling completely abandoned by him. I told him that this house was my home and my last connection to my mom and grandparents, and I wasn't going to leave. My dad's reaction was something I never expected. He blamed me for the turmoil in his relationship with Alicia. He said that if I hadn't been so stubborn and had just agreed to move out, none of this would be happening. It was a punch to the gut, and I couldn't believe he was turning on me like this. Feeling overwhelmed, I decided to seek legal advice to protect my interests. I consulted with a family lawyer who assured me that as the legal owner of the house, I had every right to stay and make decisions about who lived there. This gave me some peace of mind, but the situation at home remained tense. Then, the final bombshell dropped. Alicia packed up her things and took her kids to stay with her mother. She left a note saying she couldn't live in a house where she wasn't welcome, and that my dad needed to choose between his daughter and his new family. My dad was devastated and blamed me even more, claiming that I had driven Alicia and her kids away. In a last-ditch effort to fix things, my dad suggested that we sell the house and split the money. He said it was the only way to start fresh and make things right with Alicia. I was floored. Selling the house meant losing the last piece of my grandparents' legacy and the place that held so many memories. I refused, stating clearly that I wasn't going to sell the house. My dad, now desperate and feeling cornered, lashed out and said if I didn't sell, he would cut ties with me and move in with Alicia and her mother. He accused me of being selfish and ruining his life. At this point, I realized that my dad was making his choice, and it wasn't me. I told him that if he wanted to leave, he was free to do so, but I wouldn't be manipulated into selling my home. True to his word, my dad packed his bags and left that evening, moving in with Alicia. The house feels emptier now, but at least it's my space again. The emotional toll has been immense, and while I feel a deep sadness over the loss of my relationship with my dad, I also feel a sense of relief that the constant tension is gone. My great uncle has been a great support through all this, offering both emotional and practical help. I'm focusing on my studies and trying to rebuild my life without the toxic environment my dad and Alicia created. It's hard, but I know I made the right choice for myself and for the memory of my grandparents. Thank you all for your continued support and advice. Your words have been a great source of strength during these turbulent times. I hope my story serves as a reminder that standing up for yourself and protecting your peace is sometimes the hardest but most necessary thing to do. Here's to a future built on strength, resilience, and the courage to stand firm in the face of adversity. Update 2. Hey everyone! Just when I thought things couldn't get more intense, my dad came back into the picture with an even more shocking demand. The past few weeks have been a roller coaster, but this latest twist has left me completely stunned. After Alicia moved out with her kids and my dad went to live with them at her mother's place, I thought the situation was finally settling down. The house was quiet, and I could focus on my studies and rebuilding my life. But last week, my dad showed up unexpectedly. He looked worn out and desperate, clearly feeling the strain of his new living situation. He asked if we could talk, and despite everything, I agreed. We sat down in the living room, the air thick with tension. My dad started by apologizing for how things had turned out, saying he never wanted our relationship to deteriorate like this. He then dropped the bombshell. He wanted to know if Alicia and her kids could move back into the house. He claimed that living at her mother's place was too cramped and stressful, and they needed more space, especially with the baby on the way. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. After everything that had happened, the lies, the manipulation, the betrayal, he was asking me to let them move back in. I took a deep breath and calmly told him no. I explained that I needed a stable and peaceful environment, and their presence would only bring more chaos and conflict. My dad's demeanor changed instantly. He became angry and defensive, accusing me of being unforgiving and selfish. He said I was putting my own needs above the family and that I was ruining his chance at happiness. I stood my ground, reiterating that the house was mine and I had every right to decide who lived there. Then came the ultimatum. My dad, in a moment of sheer desperation and anger, threatened to disown me if I didn't let Alicia and her kids move back in. He said that if I couldn't support him and his new family, then he wanted nothing more to do with me. He demanded that I choose. Either I allow them back into the house, or he would cut me out of his life for good. The weight of his words hit me hard. I felt a mix of anger, sadness, and disbelief. But I knew I couldn't let myself be bullied or manipulated into making a decision that went against my well-being. I told him that I was sorry he felt that way, but my answer was still no. I wasn't going to sacrifice my peace and the legacy of my grandparents for his demands. My dad looked at me with a mix of shock and rage, then turned and walked out of the house. I watched as he left, feeling a profound sense of loss, but also a strong conviction that I had done the right thing. It was clear that our relationship had reached a breaking point, and while it hurt, I knew I had to prioritize my own mental health and future. In the days that followed, I've received a few hostile messages from Alicia, accusing me of being heartless and cruel. But I've also had an outpouring of support from my great uncle, friends, and even some relatives who now understand the full extent of what's been happening. It's been incredibly tough, but I'm focusing on my studies and the future I'm building for myself. This house is my sanctuary, and I'm determined to honor my grandparents' memory by living a life they would be proud of. Thank you all for your unwavering support and encouragement. Your words have been a lifeline during these trying times. I hope my story serves as a reminder that it's okay to set boundaries and stand up for yourself, even when faced with difficult choices and family pressures. Here's to moving forward with strength, resilience, and the courage to protect our peace and well-being. Update 3. Hey everyone, I can hardly believe I'm writing another update, but life keeps throwing these curveballs my way. This time, the situation has taken an even more shocking turn. A few days ago, I received an urgent message from my dad. Alicia had given birth to my half-brother. The news was bittersweet. On one hand, I was happy for the new addition to the family, but on the other hand, I couldn't ignore the tension and unresolved issues that lingered between us. Shortly after the birth, Alicia reached out to me directly. She was emotional and seemed desperate. She said that their current living situation was unbearable, especially with a newborn. She emphasized that my dad's constant commuting was exhausting and unsustainable. Her main point, however, was that their newborn son needed a quiet, stable environment away from the chaos of the city. She proposed that they move back into the house with me. This time she assured me that she understood my feelings and promised that things would be different. She even said I could stay in the house and that they would respect my space. She painted a picture of a harmonious household where we could all coexist for the sake of the baby. I was torn. The idea of having my half-brother around was appealing, but I couldn't forget the manipulation and drama they had brought into my life before. I needed time to think, so I asked Alicia to give me a day to consider her request. That evening, I spoke with my great-uncle. He reminded me of the importance of protecting my peace and well-being and urged me to think carefully about my decision. After a lot of soul-searching, I realized that allowing them back into the house could potentially bring back all the tension and conflict that I had worked so hard to move past. The next day, I called Alicia and my dad. I explained my concerns and why I couldn't let them move back in. I told them that while I cared about my half-brother and wanted the best for him, the history of manipulation and emotional turmoil they had caused made it impossible for me to welcome them back into my home. My dad exploded with anger, accusing me of being selfish and heartless. He said that I was punishing them for past mistakes and that I was denying my half-brother a better life. Alicia, although more composed, was clearly disappointed and tried to guilt-trip me by saying I was depriving the baby of a peaceful upbringing. Despite their emotional appeals, I stood my ground. I reiterated that my decision was final and that I couldn't sacrifice my mental health and stability for them. I offered to help them find another place, even suggesting a few options that were affordable and within a reasonable distance from the city. My dad's reaction was predictably harsh. He reiterated his threat to disown me and said I would regret my decision. Alicia, on the other hand, seemed to accept my refusal with a heavy heart, but she made it clear that she believed I was making a huge mistake. Since then, I've focused on maintaining my own peace and continuing with my studies. The emotional weight of my decision has been heavy, but I know it was the right choice for me. I've also sought support from friends who have been incredibly understanding and supportive. Life has been a whirlwind of emotions, but I'm learning to navigate these challenges with resilience and strength. This house is not just a building, it's a sanctuary that represents my journey, my growth, and my commitment to a better future. Thank you all for your continued support and encouragement. Your words have been a source of strength for me during these tumultuous times. I hope my story continues to inspire others to stand firm in their convictions and prioritize their well-being, even in the face of difficult family dynamics. Here's to moving forward with courage, resilience, and the unwavering belief that we deserve to live in peace and harmony. Update 4. Hey everyone, I never thought I'd have another twist to share, but here we are. Just when I thought things couldn't get any more shocking, life decided to throw another bombshell my way. This update is something I never saw coming. A few weeks after I turned down my dad and Alicia's request to move back into my house, I got a call from my dad. He sounded more distressed than I had ever heard him. He asked if we could meet in person to talk about something important. Despite everything that had happened, I agreed. We met at a quiet cafe, and what he told me left me absolutely stunned. My dad revealed that he and Alicia were getting a divorce. Apparently, Alicia had been taking advantage of him financially all along. She had pressured him into spending a significant amount of his savings on her lifestyle and her kids, all while planning to leave him once she had drained him dry. The final straw came when my dad discovered that Alicia had been siphoning money from his accounts and was planning to flee with her kids and the new baby. He told me that he had confronted her with the evidence, and Alicia didn't even try to deny it. Instead, she turned cold and manipulative, blaming him for everything and saying that if he had provided more, she wouldn't have had to take such drastic measures. The realization that Alicia had been a gold digger all along was a harsh blow to my dad. In the midst of this revelation, my dad apologized to me. He admitted that he had been blinded by his infatuation with Alicia and had made terrible decisions that hurt our relationship. He said he regretted siding with her and pressuring me to leave my home. He seemed genuinely remorseful, and for the first time in a long while, I saw a glimpse of the dad I used to know. He asked if there was any way we could start to rebuild our relationship. He explained that he felt lost and didn't know how to move forward without my support. It was a lot to process, and I told him I needed time to think about it. Alicia, on the other hand, tried to take advantage of the divorce proceedings by claiming she deserved half of everything my dad owned, including the house, even though it's legally mine. She also demanded full custody of their baby, using the child as leverage to get more money from my dad. During the divorce proceedings, my dad's lawyer presented overwhelming evidence of Alicia's manipulation and financial abuse. The court sided with my dad, granting him a fair settlement and ensuring that Alicia couldn't take advantage of him any further. She was awarded a modest settlement, but nothing close to what she had been aiming for. In the end, my dad was granted joint custody of my half-brother, and he's determined to be a good father to him despite everything that's happened. As for Alicia, she moved back to the city with her kids, leaving my dad to pick up the pieces of his life. This whole ordeal has been a roller coaster of emotions. I've agreed to give my dad a chance to rebuild our relationship, but it's going to take time and effort from both of us. He's staying with a friend for now, trying to figure out his next steps and rebuild his life from the ground up. As for me, I'm continuing to focus on my studies and my future. The house remains my sanctuary, a place where I can find peace and stability. This journey has taught me the importance of standing firm in my convictions and protecting my well-being, no matter the cost. Thank you all for your unwavering support and encouragement. Your words have been a source of strength for me during these incredibly challenging times. I hope my story serves as a reminder that we all have the power to overcome adversity and build a better future for ourselves. Here's to resilience, new beginnings, and the strength to move forward, no matter what life throws our way. Update 5. Hey everyone, life has a way of surprising you when you least expect it, and this update is proof of that. After everything that's happened, I'm thrilled to share some truly positive news that's both shocking and heartwarming. After Alicia left and the divorce was finalized, my dad and I began the slow process of rebuilding our relationship. He moved in with me temporarily, staying in one of the guest rooms while he figured out his next steps. It wasn't easy at first, but over time we started to find a new rhythm. My dad was genuinely remorseful, and we both worked hard to heal the wounds of the past. A few months ago, my dad met a woman named Laura. Laura is kind, compassionate, and has a warm presence that immediately put me at ease. She's a nurse, and they met while my dad was volunteering at a community health event. Laura has a daughter who's in college, and they seem to have a great relationship. Seeing my dad happy again was like a breath of fresh air, and I was hopeful but cautious. Laura and I met several times, and we got along wonderfully. She respected my boundaries and understood the significance of my home. She never overstepped or made me feel uncomfortable, and it was clear she genuinely cared about my dad. Their relationship blossomed quickly, but in a healthy, supportive way that was worlds apart from what he had with Alicia. One evening, my dad sat me down and asked if Laura and her daughter could move in with us. He explained that Laura was facing some financial difficulties after helping her daughter with tuition, and that moving in together would benefit everyone. I saw how happy Laura made my dad and how much he wanted this new chapter to work. I agreed, but I had one condition. My dad had to tell Laura that the house belonged to me. I didn't want any misunderstandings or potential conflicts like we had experienced with Alicia. My dad agreed without hesitation, understanding the importance of transparency and respect. The next evening, we all sat down together. My dad took Laura's hand and told her the full story, how the house was my grandparents' legacy, how I inherited it, and the tumultuous events that led us to this point. Laura listened attentively, and when my dad finished, she turned to me with a warm smile. "Thank you for being so open and honest," she said. "I respect your boundaries and your home, and I'm grateful for the chance to live here. I promise to honor this space and support you both." Her response was genuine and heartfelt, and I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Laura and her daughter moved in a week later, and the house has been filled with a sense of warmth and family that I hadn't felt in a long time. Living together has been surprisingly smooth. Laura and I have developed a close bond, and her daughter and I get along well too. My dad is happier than I've seen him in years, and the atmosphere in the house is one of mutual respect and support. This journey has been incredibly challenging, but it's also shown me the power of resilience, forgiveness, and the importance of setting boundaries. I've learned that it's possible to rebuild and move forward, even after the most tumultuous times. Thank you all for your unwavering support and encouragement. Your words have been a source of strength for me during these difficult times. I hope my story continues to inspire others to stand firm in their convictions, prioritize their well-being, and believe in the possibility of positive change. Here's to new beginnings, unexpected blessings, and the strength to embrace life's twists and turns with hope and courage. Update 6. Hey everyone, life has taken yet another unexpected and thrilling turn, and I'm excited to share this latest update with you. After everything that's happened, I finally have some truly joyous news, along with a shocking twist involving my dad's ex, Alicia. Over the past few months, while my dad and I have been rebuilding our relationship and creating a harmonious home with Laura and her daughter, I met someone special. His name is Alex, and he's a software engineer I met at a mutual friend's party. From the moment we met, there was an undeniable connection, and we quickly became inseparable. Alex is kind, understanding, and incredibly supportive. He knows all about my family history and the challenges I've faced, and he's been a rock through everything. We've grown closer each day, and recently he proposed. I said yes, we're getting married, and I couldn't be happier. Planning the wedding has been an exciting whirlwind, and I'm looking forward to starting this new chapter of my life with him. Amidst all this joy, I received some shocking news about Alicia. Apparently, after she left my dad, she got involved with another man. This new relationship quickly turned sour, and I heard through the grapevine that she's now struggling both financially and emotionally. Her new partner turned out to be controlling and manipulative, leaving her in a difficult situation. It's a strange feeling, knowing that Alicia, who once tried to manipulate and take advantage of my dad and me, is now facing her own struggles. Part of me feels a sense of justice, but another part of me feels a twinge of sympathy. Despite everything she did, it's hard to see someone go through such hardship. However, I know better than to get involved. I've learned the importance of protecting my peace and focusing on my own happiness. My dad, who has also heard about Alicia's situation, seems conflicted. He still feels residual guilt and responsibility, but he's focusing on his new life with Laura and the happiness they've found together. We've talked about it, and he's agreed that it's best not to get entangled in Alicia's problems again. As for our family, we're moving forward. My dad and Laura are incredibly supportive of my upcoming wedding, and we're all working together to make it a beautiful and memorable day. It feels surreal to be surrounded by so much love and support after all the turmoil we've been through. Thank you all for your unwavering support and encouragement throughout this journey. Your words have been a beacon of hope and strength for me. I hope my story continues to inspire others to believe in the power of resilience, the importance of setting boundaries, and the possibility of finding happiness and love after the storm. Here's to new beginnings, enduring love, and the strength to navigate life's twists and turns with grace and courage. Dumped my fiancée after she sent me to jail on false charges to defend her alcoholic friend? Man, I just need to vent. You know when everything seems fine, but then it just isn't? So, I'm 28, and I was engaged to this girl, Emma. She's 25, and we've been together for 5 years now. We even got engaged like 2 weeks ago. I thought everything was going smooth, you know? But wow, things turned upside down in a way I did not expect. So, about 3 weeks ago, I come home from work. It was a long-ass day, and I was exhausted. You know how it is. I just wanted to chill, maybe watch something, relax. Anyway, I walk in, and Emma's sitting at the dining table with her buddy, Dan. Now, Dan's been around forever. Like, they've been friends since they were little kids or whatever, so I don't think anything of it. I kiss Emma on the cheek, say hi, and give Dan a fist bump. I ask if he's doing okay, just being polite, right? Dan's not one to turn down chilling, but this time, he just looks all serious and says, "Nah, man, I'm good. I actually need to talk to you about something." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, this must be serious." I look at Emma, and she's got this kind of serious face on too. So I sit down with them, like, "All right, what's going on?" Emma then says, "Dan's going through a rough time." She starts explaining that Dan lost his job and his place to live, and now he's got nowhere to go. Typical sob story. I mean, I felt bad for the guy, but I'm thinking, what's this got to do with me? Then she drops it on me. "I was thinking maybe Dan could stay with us for a few weeks, just until he gets back on his feet." Now listen, I'm not heartless. I've known Dan a while, and it's not like I have anything against the guy. So I said, yeah, it's cool. But I made it clear. I told him straight up, as long as you help out around the house, it's fine. Just don't make a mess and contribute when you can. He seemed super grateful, like he even got up and gave me a big hug, thanking me over and over. The first week, it was fine, like totally fine. Dan was keeping to himself mostly, and he was even doing chores. It was actually kind of nice to have someone else around to help out with stuff, and he didn't complain or anything. We'd watch some TV and everything seemed chill. I was even thinking, man, maybe this won't be so bad after all. But then, man, things started going downhill. Fast. The second week, I start noticing stuff around the apartment. Little things, but they add up, Like his dirty clothes would just be lying around. Not just in his room, but like in the living room, under the couch cushions, socks, shirts, whatever. And it started to get annoying, so I talked to him being all polite about it. "Hey man, can you clean up after yourself a bit more? This is still our place, He apologized, said he was sorry, promised to do better. I figured that was the end of it, but nope, things got worse. Fast forward a few days, I'm going to the bathroom one morning and, not to be gross, but the toilet was nasty. There was dried up vomit on the seat, like he had puked and didn't even bother cleaning up. I couldn't believe it. Who does that? At this point, I'm realizing something's off with Dan. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but I started noticing more and more. His room started to stink, and his attitude shifted. He was always tired, moody, just off. I confronted Emma about it, asking if she's noticed, and she brushes it off like it's no big deal. "He's going through a rough time," she kept saying. "Yeah, okay, but so are we if he's trashing the place." And then, it got to the point where I couldn't ignore it anymore. I came home from work one day, and I swear the whole apartment smelled bad. I could already feel my blood boiling as I walked down the hallway to the guest room, knowing exactly what I was about to find. I barged into the room, and there's Dan, just lying on the bed. The place was a mess, clothes everywhere. And the smell, man, it was like he hadn't cleaned the room in days. I completely lost it. I started yelling at him, telling him he needed to clean up, contribute, or he's out. No more playing nice. I gave him 2 days to clean up his act or leave. Emma, of course, tries to calm me down, saying I'm overreacting, but I wasn't having it. I'd been patient enough, and he was totally taking advantage of the situation. And you know what he does? Instead of apologizing, this guy stands up, and I swear, he just lunges at me. Like out of nowhere, full-on attacks me. I didn't even have time to react. Next thing I know, I'm slammed into the wall, and everything goes black. When I came to, there were flashing lights everywhere. It took me a second to realize it wasn't a dream. 2 cops were standing over me, one shining a flashlight right in my face, and I could hear Emma's voice in the background. I tried to sit up, but my head was pounding like crazy, and I felt so disoriented. The cop helps me up, and I ask, "What the hell's going on?" He tells me that they got a call from Emma saying I'd gotten violent and attacked her and Dan. I'm like, what the hell? I attacked them. That didn't even make sense. But they weren't interested in my side of the story. They grabbed me, dragged me outside, and all I could see was Emma and Dan talking to the cops like they were the victims. I barely remember getting into the squad car, but I do remember looking at Emma, and she wouldn't even look at me. She just stood there next to Dan, looking all upset, like I was the problem. I felt like I was living in some nightmare. Everything was a blur after that. I don't even remember much of the drive to the station. All I know is I ended up in a holding cell, my head pounding, not sure how the hell this all went down so fast. So there I was, sitting in the holding cell, head pounding, trying to figure out what the hell just happened. I still couldn't believe it. One minute I'm in my own home, and the next, I'm getting hauled away like a criminal. I kept replaying the scene in my head. Emma called the cops on me? For what? Because I told Dan to clean up his act or leave? None of it made sense. I was stuck in that damn cell for hours. Nobody told me anything, and the whole time I was just stewing in my anger. I couldn't stop thinking about how I was the one who got knocked out, Yet somehow I was the bad guy. When they finally let me go, they acted like they were doing me a favor. "You're lucky we're not pressing charges," one of the cops said. "Charges? For what? I didn't even do anything." Anyway, I called my dad to come pick me up. I wasn't about to go back to the apartment just yet. I needed some time to cool down and process everything. My dad, of course, had a million questions, but I wasn't ready to talk about it yet. All I told him was that I needed a ride and that Emma and Dan had basically turned on me. He could tell something serious had gone down, but he didn't push. The whole drive, my mind was racing. How could Emma do this to me? We've been together for 5 years, 5 damn years, and she pulls this? It wasn't like we had some perfect fairy tale relationship or whatever, but I thought we were solid. This wasn't just some minor argument. This was betrayal, pure and simple. She had my back for 5 years, and now suddenly Dan shows up, and she sides with him? Over me? I just couldn't wrap my head around it. When I got back to my dad's place, I crashed on the couch. I didn't have the energy to explain everything yet, and honestly, I didn't even know how to. What was I supposed to say? "Oh, hey, Dad, guess what? My fiancée called the cops on me because her loser friend decided to throw me into a wall." Yeah, that would go over well. After a couple of days, I decided I needed to get my stuff from the apartment. I wasn't planning on sticking around to have another confrontation with Emma. I was done with her. But of course, when I get there, she's sitting on the couch like nothing happened. I swear my blood was boiling the second I saw her. She had the nerve to try and act all sad, with her eyes red and puffy like she'd been crying nonstop. But to me, it was just an act. Before I could even say anything, she jumps up and starts talking, trying to explain herself. "Joe, please, just listen to me. I didn't know what else to do. Dan was panicking, and I cut her off right there. I don't want to hear it, Emma. You had a choice, and you chose Dan. Over me. What else is there to say?" She kept begging, but I was done. I told her to pack her stuff and leave. I didn't even care about the details anymore. I just wanted her out of my life. She tried pulling the whole, "but I still love you" card. But at that point, it didn't mean anything to me. Love doesn't involve calling the cops on your partner and lying to protect someone else. That's not love. That's betrayal. It took everything in me not to lose my cool again. I mean, seriously, how does someone you trust for 5 years turn on you like that? I had spent so much time thinking we were building something real, something solid, but clearly I was wrong. I told her to get her stuff and get out, and she did, but not without trying to plead her case a million more times. Once she was gone, I thought maybe I'd feel some relief. Like, okay, the toxic part of this situation is out of the picture. But honestly, I just felt empty. I sat there, in my own apartment, wondering how the hell it all fell apart so quickly. I started doubting everything, our entire relationship, the engagement, all of it. Had she been lying to me this whole time? Was Dan always more important than me? Then a few days later, Emma started blowing up my phone again. At first I ignored it, but after the 50th missed call, I figured I'd hear what she had to say. She's crying again, telling me how she's sorry, how she didn't mean for any of this to happen. She told me she panicked when Dan knocked me out and that she didn't want him to get in trouble because he was already on probation. Apparently, they thought it would be easier to lie and say I was the one who attacked them. Yeah, because that makes so much sense, right? I didn't even know what to say to that. Easier? Easier for who? It sure as hell wasn't easier for me. I spent the night in jail because of their lies. I got knocked unconscious in my own home, and somehow I'm the bad guy? She tried to explain how it was all just a mistake, how they panicked in the moment. But honestly, I didn't care anymore. I hung up on her after that. I couldn't listen to any more of her excuses. I didn't want to hear about how she didn't mean to hurt me. Because at the end of the day, she did hurt me. And the worst part, she didn't even seem to realize how deep that cut went. That night, I got hit with the worst headache I've ever had. I was throwing up, dizzy, couldn't even stand up without feeling like I was going to pass out. So I went to the hospital, and guess what? Concussion. They told me I'd probably been concussed the night Dan knocked me out, but because I didn't get checked out right away, I made it worse by not resting. So now I'm stuck at home for at least a month, and all I can do is think about what a mess my life has become. I lost my fiancé, my trust in someone I thought I loved, and now I'm physically wrecked because of the whole thing. And the cherry on top? Emma keeps trying to come over, leaving messages saying she wants to talk. But what is there to talk about? She made her choice. She lied to protect Dan. Now I'm just here trying to figure out how the hell to move forward from this. Do I completely ghost her? Do I give her the closure she's begging for? Part of me wants to just disappear and never hear from her again. But another part of me, the part that still loves her, can't help but feel like I need to do something. But what? Update 1. It's been about a week since everything went down. I've been stuck at home, recovering from this damn concussion. And let me tell you, being trapped in your own head with nothing but your thoughts and a messed up relationship to dwell on is not the kind of rest I needed. So Emma's still been trying to reach out like constantly. It's getting ridiculous. I've got messages from her, her mom, her sister, all saying how sorry she is and how she just wants to see me and explain everything. But at this point, what's left to explain? She already told me the worst of it, right? But every time I ignore her, I feel this weird pit in my stomach. Like I'm questioning if maybe I'm making the wrong call. You ever get that feeling where you know something's the right move, but it still eats at you? Anyway, a few days ago, I get this text from her mom. And this is where things take a pretty messed up turn. Her mom tells me Emma tried to overdose on painkillers. Yeah, I know. That hit me like a brick. She said Emma was in the hospital and that she was asking to see me. My first reaction? Honestly, I felt guilty. I mean, I ghosted her for a week straight and now she's in the hospital. But then the anger kicked in. Was this another way to get sympathy? I know that sounds harsh, but after what she did, lying to the cops, throwing me under the bus for Dan of all people, I couldn't help but question everything she says or does now. I kept thinking, is this just some play to make me feel like I'm the one at fault? Or was she really at that low point? I didn't text her mom back right away. I just sat there, phone in hand, staring at the message. My mind was going a million miles an hour. A part of me wanted to rush to the hospital to check on her, see if she was okay, but another part of me, the part that's still pissed and hurt, wanted to stay as far away from that whole mess as possible. What would even happen if I went? Would it just be another round of excuses and I didn't mean to from Emma? Or would I find out that she really was sorry, that she really did hit rock bottom? So I talked to my mom. She's been staying with me while I recover, helping me out and all that. She's been amazing through this whole thing, honestly. She asked me how I was feeling, and I straight up told her about the text from Emma's mom. And you know what my mom said? She told me I needed to think long and hard before making any decisions, that I should be careful with whatever move I make next. But she also reminded me that Emma's actions have consequences, that what she did wasn't just a little mistake, it was something huge, and it nearly ruined my life. She told me that if I do decide to see her, I need to be sure I'm ready for whatever comes next. It's not just a visit, it's a choice that could open up old wounds and drag me right back into the chaos I'm trying to escape from. That's the part that got me. My mom's always been the rational one, and when she said that, I knew she was right. I wasn't ready to face Emma again. Not yet. Not when I'm still piecing my life back together. So I decided to stay home, ignore the texts, and keep focusing on healing, physically and mentally. But it's not that easy. Every day I wake up and check my phone, wondering if I'm going to get another update from her mom, wondering if Emma's okay, if she's still in the hospital, or if she's moved on from this whole thing. I keep thinking back to all the good times we had, the 5 years we spent together before everything fell apart. It's like this constant battle in my head between what I know I should do and what my heart still feels for her. Then, yesterday something else happened. Out of the blue, Dan sends me a message. Can you believe that? After everything, this guy has the nerve to text me. I almost threw my phone across the room when I saw his name pop up. But instead, I opened the message. It was short and to the point. Hey man, I'm sorry for what happened. I didn't mean to hurt you, and I hope you can forgive me. Forgive him? I read that message over and over, and all I could think was, are you kidding me? This dude knocked me out, got me arrested, and now he wants my forgiveness? For what? Because he didn't mean to hurt me? What does that even mean? You don't accidentally ram someone into a wall and leave them unconscious. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. I didn't respond. I couldn't. There was nothing I could say to him that wouldn't just make me even angrier. So I blocked his number and tried to move on. But his message still bugs me. It's like he's trying to get off the hook with a half-assed apology, like that'll somehow make everything okay again. And Emma? She's still out there, waiting for me to reach out, waiting for me to come to the hospital and see her. And I'm just here, stuck in the middle of this whole mess, trying to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do next. Do I let them back into my life or do I walk away for good? Because right now, all I feel is this mix of anger, sadness, and, yeah, I'll admit it, guilt. As much as I don't want to admit it, I still care about Emma. And that's the hardest part. I can't just switch that off, even after everything she's done. But caring about her doesn't change what happened. It doesn't change the fact that she lied to the cops and put me in jail. It doesn't change the fact that Dan, her so-called friend, attacked me in my own home, and she did nothing to stop it. And it sure as hell doesn't change the fact that I'm sitting here, alone, with a concussion, while they get to move on with their lives. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I've got no clue what the next step is, but I know one thing for sure. I'm not rushing back into anything. I've been burned once, and I'm not about to let it happen again. But damn, man, I just wish things didn't have to be this complicated. Update 2. Alright, so things took another wild turn. I thought I was done dealing with all this crap, but guess what? Turns out, life had other plans. I've been lying low, trying to figure out what to do next. I mean, the whole situation still has me all twisted up. But just when I thought I could get some peace, another bomb drops. Not literally, but you get what I mean. A few days after Dan's pathetic apology, I'm at home, minding my own business, trying to recover. My head still isn't right from the concussion, and every little thing feels like a damn chore. You know how it is when you're stuck at home with nothing to do but overthink everything. So I'm sitting there and my phone starts buzzing again. At first I was like, nope, not dealing with this. But then I see the name on the screen. It wasn't Emma, her mom, or Dan. It was someone I wasn't expecting at all. It was Emma's sister, Lucy. Now, Lucy and I have never been super close. We got along fine, but she wasn't really part of my life outside of family get-togethers or holidays. So, for her to text me out of the blue? Yeah, that raised a red flag. I open the message and it says something like, "Hey Joe, I need to talk to you. It's about Emma. Please don't ignore me." I wasn't in the mood for more drama, but Lucy wasn't the type to stir things up just for the sake of it. So I text her back telling her I'm listening. She hits me with this whole long message about how Emma's not doing well at all, how the overdose wasn't just a cry for help or some ploy to get attention. She tells me Emma's been in a really dark place since I cut her off, and she's barely eating, barely talking to anyone. Apparently she's seeing a therapist now, and things aren't looking good. I don't know what to do with that information. I mean, yeah, I feel bad, obviously. I don't want to see anyone, let alone someone I spent 5 years with, go through something like that. But at the same time, I keep thinking back to what Emma did. It's not like I can just forget the whole thing and go back to how things were. That's not how it works. Lucy's message keeps going on about how Emma's been trying to make amends, how she's regretting everything and that she really needs to talk to me. I'm sitting there staring at my phone, wondering if maybe I should just give her a chance to explain herself. But every time I think about it, I remember how betrayed I felt, how she chose Dan over me in the moment that mattered most. That's not something you can easily get past. So I ask Lucy straight up, "Do you think she's being genuine, or is this just another way to get sympathy?" I know it sounds harsh, but after everything, I had to ask. Lucy responds pretty quickly saying, "I've never seen her like this, Joe. She's not faking it. She's really struggling, and I think she's realized how much she messed up." That hit me harder than I expected. Like, maybe she really does regret everything, but even if she does that change anything? Can you really forgive someone after something like this? I'm still not sure. So I told Lucy I needed some time to think, and she said she understood, but she hopes I'll talk to Emma soon. Here's the thing. Part of me wants to see her. I want to hear her out, see if she's really sorry or if it's just more excuses. But the other part of me is like, dude, why would you put yourself through that again? I've been going back and forth with myself ever since I got that message. It's like I'm stuck in this loop of wanting to move on, but also feeling like I need some kind of closure. So I tried to distract myself. I went out for a walk, hoping some fresh air would clear my head. But of course, as I'm walking, I run into Dan. Because of course, I do. This guy has the worst timing ever. He's standing there like he's been waiting for me or something. I thought about just walking right past him, but he calls out, "Joe, wait!" Against my better judgment, I stopped. I didn't want another confrontation, but I wasn't about to run away like a coward either. Dan comes up to me, and before I can even say anything, he starts talking. He's all like, "Look, man, I know you hate me right now, and I get it. I really screwed up. But I just want to explain myself." I didn't really want to hear his excuses, but I let him talk anyway. He goes on about how he was going through a rough time, how losing his job and getting kicked out of his place messed with his head. He admits that he was out of line, that attacking me was the worst thing he could have done, and that he's been trying to figure out how to make it right. But then, he drops something I wasn't expecting. He tells me that he and Emma haven't spoken since the night I got arrested. Apparently, after I kicked her out, she cut off contact with him too. Dan looked genuinely upset when he told me this, like he actually cared about her and didn't know what to do now that she wasn't speaking to him. I didn't know what to make of it. I mean, on one hand, good. Emma finally realized Dan's a toxic presence in her life. But on the other hand, why didn't she realize that sooner? Why did it take all this chaos for her to see what kind of person Dan really is? I didn't say much to Dan. I just told him, "You can't fix this. What's done is done." He looked defeated, like he knew I was right but didn't want to accept it. He said he was sorry again and walked off, leaving me standing there with even more questions than I started with. So now I'm left with this mess. Emma's apparently in a really dark place, Dan's out of the picture, and I'm here, trying to figure out if I should reach out to her or just keep moving on. I don't know what the right thing to do is. Every time I think I've made a decision, something else comes up, and I'm back to square one. It's like, do I want to risk getting hurt again? Or do I just let it all go and focus on myself? I've been trying to weigh the pros and cons, but no matter what, there's no easy answer. Either way, someone gets hurt, whether it's me, Emma, or both of us. So yeah, that's where I'm at, stuck in limbo, unsure of what to do next. Part of me thinks I should just cut ties completely and move on with my life. But another part of me feels like I need to see this through, to find out if Emma really has changed. It's a mess, man, a real mess, and I have no idea how to get out of it. Update 3. So after that run-in with Dan and Lucy's message about Emma, I spent the next couple of days just sitting in my apartment, trying to clear my head. Every time I thought I had things figured out, I'd get stuck again, second-guessing myself. Honestly, it was driving me insane. But then, something happened that I wasn't expecting. Emma reached out to me directly, again. But this time, she sent me a long text instead of calling or showing up at my door. I wasn't sure if I should open it. I stared at my phone for a good 5 minutes, just trying to decide if I even wanted to read it. But curiosity got the best of me, and I opened it. Her message started off with an apology. A real one this time. Not just one of those, I'm sorry, but types of apologies. She said she knew she messed up in ways she couldn't fix. She admitted that choosing Dan over me in that moment was the biggest mistake of her life, and that she doesn't expect me to forgive her. Then she went on to say how lost she's been since everything went down, how she's been trying to make sense of it all, but she realizes now that no amount of excuses can change what happened. I could tell this wasn't some half-assed apology. She was laying it all out there, telling me how she's been going to therapy, trying to figure out why she acted the way she did, and how she's working on herself. Emma said she didn't want to hurt me anymore, and that she wasn't reaching out to beg for me back. She just needed to say her piece. She ended the message by saying she hoped one day I could at least understand why she did what she did, but that she knew we might never be okay again. After reading it, I had to sit down for a minute and just breathe. It's weird, you know? Getting an apology like that after everything that's happened. Part of me felt relieved, like maybe I could finally let go of some of the anger I'd been holding on to. But another part of me was still like, is this enough? Does this really change anything? I didn't respond right away. I needed to think. I mean, yeah, it was a good apology. But did that mean I was ready to talk to her again? Was I ready to open that door? Because once you open it, you can't just close it again, right? That's when things get complicated. Anyway, later that night, I talked to my mom about it. I hadn't told her about the latest text yet, so I filled her in on everything Emma had said. My mom's reaction surprised me a little. She didn't immediately jump to, "You should forgive her," or "You should move on." Instead, she told me something that stuck with me. She said, "Joe, sometimes people do terrible things, but that doesn't mean they're terrible people. You have to decide if this is something you can move past, not for her sake, but for your own." And that got me thinking. I wasn't just holding on to the anger because I didn't want to forgive Emma. I was holding on to it because part of me was scared of what would happen if I did. Like, if I let go of that anger, what's left? How do you move forward when the thing that's been driving you for weeks is suddenly gone? So I sat with that for a while. I didn't respond to Emma's text for a couple of days. I kept reading it over and over, trying to figure out how I felt. And then, one night, something clicked. I realized I wasn't mad anymore. Like, sure, I was still hurt, and I don't think that's going away anytime soon. But the anger? It was gone. I wasn't burning with it like I had been before. It was weird, honestly. I didn't expect to feel that shift, but there it was. That's when I decided to respond to Emma. I kept it short, but I was honest. I told her I appreciated the apology, that I could tell she was being genuine, and that I hoped she was serious about working on herself. I said I didn't know what the future held for us, but that I wasn't ready to completely cut her off. I didn't promise anything. I just left the door cracked open a bit. Her response came almost immediately. She thanked me, said it meant more than I knew, and that she wasn't expecting anything from me. She just wanted me to know she was trying to do better. And honestly, that was enough for me right then. I wasn't ready to dive back into anything, but at least it felt like things were starting to settle. Like maybe, just maybe, I could start to move forward. But just when I thought I had some peace, the universe threw another wrench into things. Out of nowhere, I get a message from Dan. Yep, Dan again. This time, though, it wasn't some half apology or plea for forgiveness. No, this time he sent me this long, rambling message about how he and Emma had been seeing each other behind my back for a while. He said he didn't want to carry the secret anymore, that he felt like he needed to come clean. I couldn't believe it. I mean, yeah, I had my suspicions when everything went down, But to have it confirmed, it was like getting punched in the gut all over again. I sat there, staring at my phone, reading his words over and over. They'd been messing around while I was at work, while I was busting my ass to make sure we had a roof over our heads. And she had the nerve to play the victim, to beg for my forgiveness after everything. At that moment, everything shifted again. The anger came flooding back. Not just at Emma, but at myself, too. How had I been so blind? How had I let them both make a fool out of me like that? I didn't respond to Dan. I couldn't. What was the point? But I did send Emma one final text. It wasn't long, and I didn't sugarcoat anything. I told her I knew about her and Dan, that I knew they'd been lying to me for who knows how long, and that I was done. Really done this time. I told her I didn't need any more explanations or apologies. I just wanted her out of my life for good. She didn't respond. Not that night, not the next day, not ever. And honestly, I think that's for the best. Sometimes things get so broken that there's no fixing them. And I guess this was one of those times. So, yeah, that's where I'm at now. It's over. For real this time. No more what ifs, no more second chances, just me moving forward one step at a time.